On the fourth and potentially best day of Christmas, my brew love gave to me
some Samichlaus.
Boom!
Boom.
And also some Samichlaus. Boom! Barry Salem, as you all know from episode 100 of Chop Brew, me and Don and Leaf and Brian went to Barry's house in Milwaukee to celebrate his 100th brew day, and what he brewed on that day was a Samichlaus. So we have gathered. Today is December 6th, St. Nicholas Day.
Yes.
Samichlaus Day.
Damn.
And Barry has come full freaking circle on this project. And we're about to drink a side-by-side professionally brewed Samichlaus, bottled in 16, which means brewed in 15.
Yep.
With berries brewed in January 2019 and being enjoyed in December 2019. Dude, cheers. Thank you, man, for bringing this along.
Welcome.
So,
all right.
If we feel the need to remind people, just real quick, kind of what was the ingredients, the process, and what was like really new about this beer to you out of 100 batches?
Well, I wanted to brew a big beer for batch number 100. Plus, everybody came to my house, so I wanted to just make it a really fun, happy, epic day.
How many pounds of malt?
32 pounds. I can't remember all the stuff, all the different malts that went into the. I'd have to get out the paper and everything, and I'm not prepared for that.
But bigger than usual.
Yes, 32
5-gallon
pounds. Yeah, 32 pounds total of grain went into this beer. The OG was 1130, and I got it down to 1030. So that was what we were just.
You said 12.9, I think.
12.9%.
And the bottle for the pro version says 14.
14. Yeah. So I was a little lower than the bottle,
but way close.
But hey, it's I think it turned out pretty good.
Talk about a beer.
It was a labor of love.
Yeah, you used the Zurich lager?
Yes.
And you stepped it up?
Yep.
Did you make a beer, or did you just make a big old starter?
I made a big old starter.
Okay. And so how did that go?
As far as the fermentation?
Yeah.
It really went well, actually.
Good.
It kicked in pretty quickly. Within a day, it was fermenting. And it fermented for about 14 days total. It just kept bubbling and bubbling. Every morning I came down, hey, how you doing? And it was bubbling away. And 14 days later, it finally started to kind of temper down a little bit.
And then you put it in secondary.
Yes, and
in a carboy.
Well, I put it in secondary after 2 months.
Okay.
I let it sit in the primary for 2 months.
In a fridge?
No.
In just a cold
directly
basement.
out inside my cold basement because it was cold until May. We got snow in May, and so it was cold in my basement for quite some time. It was probably in the 50s. So I let it sit in the primary until the end of February or so. Then I moved it over to a secondary and put it in my keezer. And so from about March into October, it sat in a secondary carboy. In the middle of October, I racked it over into my 3-gallon corny keg, and then that sat in the keezer until the middle of November, and in the middle of November is when I started to carbonate it. I brought basically 3 gallons with me. I'm hoping, I don't think we're going to go through all this tonight. I'm hoping to at least take home a gallon or less with me so that I can take a little bit to the brew club and share with the members of the brew club.
You underestimate.
I know.
This party.
I know.
Get a quick shot.
Because there's a lot of people here that like Samichlaus. So we're going to do a little comparison between the two?
Aye.
All right. So,
like visibly, like right out of the gate, yours is a little darker. And I'll knock it for that, but it is very clear. I think all those months of careful transferring and cold conditioning paid off. The legend has it this beer is brewed in Austria every December 6th, which is today. It is lagered for 10 months. It is packaged. It is then released. So we kind of followed that minus a month.
Yeah.
And what we have here is the classic version. There's also a Helles and a Schwartz. Yours turned out a little darker And I mean, I ain't hating.
There's more reds.
Deep reds, almost like
I tried to pattern this off the classic.
Like my favorite is the Helles because it's very much
it's a clean beer.
Maibach on sweet steroids.
Yeah, it is. It's very good. And I brought a couple of bottles of that.
Munich-y and like tastes like almost like the faintest hint of like molasses and rum raisin cake.
Yeah, there is a lot of raisin. I'm getting a lot of raisin.
The classic up against it is very brown sugar, almost like maple syrup.
I'm trying to remember, did I put some Belgian candied syrup in here or not?
I think so. Yeah. But you sent me. I'll look it up as you keep talking.
I'm getting a little bit more sweetness out of the original. But this one here, I'm getting more of the maltiness almost.
I can see that.
Out of mine.
You sent me this screenshot. You basically emulated this recipe on the AHA website, right? Mm-hmm. It's a whole lot. 29 pounds of Weyermann Pils malt, 1.5 German Crystal 65, 1.5 Munich, 1 pound Vienna, half pound Melanoiden, a pound of dark candy sugar, which I bet they do more for gravity than for color, and then the byproduct is it gets darker. So maybe
the dark candy
going with like a 45 or a 15.
Yeah.
Or
maybe a different grain rather than a candied sugar.
Yeah. You know. Steering golden Mittelfrüh, but yeah, 1143 starting gravity. Dude, that's so
I didn't hit that.
Dude.
I did not quite hit that.
Well, I think that's a mixture of maybe boiling longer and that sugar. I don't know.
Well, I
put the syrup in at the beginning and boil it.
I boiled it down to 4 gallons to try and get as close as possible. So
but you didn't want to end up with like 2 gallons for your efforts. You know,
right.
At a certain point.
My target was 5 gallons, but at 5 gallons, it was quite a bit under. I think it was at 11, like 18.
These are definitely sipping beers, man.
Yeah, I know. So
we're already on our 4th day of Christmas in about an hour and a half. So
I always I compare this beer to like drinking liquid baklava. Yeah, it's so sweet. I remember the first time I saw an episode of, I think it was Chop Brew, where you guys were doing the Samichlaus episode, and that's when I discovered it. I had no idea what Samichlaus was until I saw that episode, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. So the next year, of course, you know, it's only available at a certain time of the year, so by the time that episode came out, there was no Samichlaus left in the stores, so I bought some Samichlaus the next year, and I remember, I think we did an online thing where everybody was drinking. You did like a live thing, and we were.
Sounds like something we would do.
Was it the Christmas thing?
That crazy one when I was alone down here at the table.
Yeah, and there was like a little online thing that we did, and we were all drinking, and I was like, man, I can only drink one of these beers at a time. I mean, I literally poured that into the glass, and I wasn't expecting it to be so sweet.
I feel like that's why I like the Helles version. I feel like the Helles version isn't quite as sweet, which is why the first time Elsa and I ever had it, it really snuck up on us.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it drinks strong, but it's golden. You know, it just doesn't sit. The Helles version just seems a little lighter, even though it's clearly still a huge beer.
Right.
But it doesn't have as much, like, dark malt influence. It doesn't have that residual, like, heavy-sitting sugars.
Well, this is a beer that I think you learn to love through fellowship, because this is not the type of beer that I would just pour for myself on any given night after work and sit and drink this. So I think this is something that you share with people and you get to like, and it's a very likable beer. I mean, I've really come to.
Well, Chris England called me out once and was just kind of like, "You only like this because it's big and boozy," which is correct. I'm a barley wine fiend.
Exactly.
I'm down for high alcohol beers that do it in a clean manner.
Yeah.
But what I like about this beer is it has a date. It has this holiday. You can build something around this. Like, we have a party tonight.
Yes.
Barry's here from Milwaukee for a big crew gathering at my house because Samichlaus, St. Nicholas Day, landed on a Friday. And it was easy. It's like
perfect.
Every December 6th, even if it's a Tuesday, I'm drinking a couple of those and I'm thinking of brewers in Austria and this like tradition. And I don't know. Beers like that have a story, especially when it's wrapped around a date.
Right.
And there's so few like that. I mean, there's seasonal beers, but there's not many beers out there that are just enveloped in a date as far as their legacy and their backstory. So everybody can participate in that because everyone's got a December 6th.
Right, exactly.
It's not just December 6th in Austria.
I'll be having one of these beers every December 6th from this point forward because of this guy right here.
Man, yours is good. Yours is like...
Thank you.
They're both good.
I think it turned out pretty well. I'm actually very happy with it.
It's not hot. It's definitely nothing. There's none of the things that you would expect to go wrong with either A, a lager, or B, a high gravity beer, or C, a high gravity lager.
Right.
It's clean. It's clear.
It was a big day when I
stayed away
brewed
from it. You let it do its thing.
Yeah, it was a big day when I brewed it, and I was very worried that this beer would turn out to be crap because it was my first time ever trying it. But I'm very happy with the way it turned out. Actually pleasantly surprised. And all the people that are coming over tonight, I can't wait to pass it out to everybody and have them try a little bit of it too and get their feedback. You know, I'm sure I'll get a couple of maybe thumbs down. Who knows? But I'm expecting it.
You're gonna pass it out, and they're gonna pass
out. But you know, I'll welcome any feedback that anybody has for me tonight because that's what makes you a better brewer. You know.
Happy Samichlaus.
Oh, I was picking up the water.
With water if you want.
I'm not toasting with water. Cheers, Santa. Walking in a winter wonderland. Cheers, Santa. Walking in a winter wonderland.